Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Atpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyat Ravitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So for Asge, those two chants, the first are 3 verses from a hymn called the Hymn to the Guru Stotra. And I do that out of salutations, venerations to my teacher. And then the second is a very old Vedic chant that we do to invoke our good study together. So where are we in our text?
Number 65.
And we are in chapter 8,
8.
right? 8.
Yes.
65. Who's chanting today? Number what?
Chapter
8, Shloka 65. Chapter 8, 65. Do you want a copy of the book, Oscar?
I have one, and there's another one.
There are 2 that I have left over.
I'm good.
Okay, so let's catch Oscar kind of up to speed on what we're talking about. The essence of this chapter is talking about the distinction between what Vidyaranya, he's the author of this text, calls hutastha, which literally means being still and established like a mountain, which is the term he's borrowed from another text, the Bhagavad Gita, which is another name for ultimate reality, Brahman, consciousness itself, which each of us experiences as I. And the other term is called Chid Abhasa. Abhasa means a reflection. Chit means consciousness. So it's the reflection of consciousness caught in the subtle intellect. And again, just to demonstrate, he's used exactly the same imagery as I like to do. So this is a mirror. There's a function in the subtle intellect that is like a mirror. we can say the light of the lamp here is like the light of awareness.
It's
Getting
moving
in
around.
your face.
Not, only one moment. Yeah, there.
Did
They
I
got
get
me
it
down.
over there? Can you guys see the
Mhm.
light?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the question is there a light in the mirror? Well, I'm shining one on you. So there's a reflection of the light in the mirror. And then again, Vidyaranya had used the example, if you've got a white wall, and you've got half a dozen people and they've all got mirrors, they can do the same kind of business with the sun and shine a spot on the wall. So what do we do with this metaphor? Consciousness striking the subtle intellect refracts into an individual knower, a means of knowledge, and a phenomenal world. So Jim, had cheese enchiladas for lunch and some guacamole and chips. What did you have for lunch? So the light of awareness striking the subtle intellect created the appearance of, as it were, a secondary light. This Ch.8, this reflection of consciousness that becomes the individual knower of the world. Now, in ignorance, I think that reflection of consciousness is me. Now, the Uranya doesn't say this, but I'm going to borrow from Mandukya Upanishad. In Gaudapada's commentary in the 4th chapter, he uses the great example of the quenching of the firebrand, or I like to say the sparkler, on the 4th of July or Diwali. So when you take the sparkler and it's night and you make a circle, you see a circle, but it's not real. It's an optical illusion. You stop moving the sparkler and the circle disappears. But the metaphor is the circle caused by the movement of thought is what the subtle intellect is that creates my whole individual world. You stop the movement of the mind and my perception of the world ends. That happens every night in deep sleep. The mind is all folded up into its seed form. So deep sleep and what we call samadhi, thoughting ends. And anytime I introvert the attentive faculty and go looking for this individual self, it withdraws my mind from the phenomenal world, and that individuality falls. And then I don't see the reflected light. I begin to apprehend the light of consciousness itself, which is my real nature. So this is the paradigm, helping us distinguish the difference between Chid-abhasa and the Kutastha. This makes sense to you? Oscar?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now let's get into the text for tonight.
कूटस्थे व्यतिशङ्का स्यात् इति चेन्मातिशङ्क्यताम् कूटस्थाम् आयिकत्वे तु प्रमाणं न हि विद्यते. If you raise the improper doubt about Kutastha, we say, do not imagine that Kutastha is also a creation of Maya. There is no evidence for that assumption.
So Maya is the word we use to describe how the impossible seems possible. How is it that consciousness, which is one without a second, there is no otherness, apparently has an entire cosmos appear in it? It's impossible. But yet it is seen. It is imagined. Now, the Shunyavadins, the scholiasts of the void, this is a particular brand of Buddhist thought, posit that there's no ultimate reality, that consciousness itself is a creation of Maya. It arises as imaginary. And here Vidyaranya is saying, there's no way to prove that. And the scriptures say, no. The ground of being is kutastha. It is stable, still, birthless, changeless, and deathless. And it is the chid abhasa. And the intellect and the mind and the body and the whole phenomenal world ultimately. That is the result of mind. You know yourself in a way different than you know anything else. We were going through just as kind of a teaser exercise before class. Subject-object discrimination. I see the candle. Candle is an object of cognition. Anything in the world of name and form, gross and subtle, all the objects, all the emotions, all the thoughts are known as objects. But you are known differently. You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. Yet you were not unknown. And the scholiasts of the void, the Shunyavadins, will say, but that disappears too. And the Vedanta would say, maybe. How is that verified? Well, I saw it disappear. Well, you may have seen something disappear, but to whom did that disappearance occur? You cannot ever negate awareness. What about in deep sleep? No, you are knowing a mind that is folded up in darkness. Easiest way to demonstrate that is close your eyes. Are you blind? No. You are seeing the back of your eyelids, which occludes your capacity to see objects. You are not blind. You are seeing darkness. That's what deep sleep is. You never disappear. And the practice that's implied here, keep checking out the subject. See whether or not it's always the same. Always this kutastha. Always. always this chidakash, this space of pure awareness. Empty like the sky, yet purnam, full of being, full of me. Never ends. All right, next verse.
वस्तुत्वं घोषयन्त्यस्य वेदान्ताः सकलाः अपि सप्तनरूपं वस्पन्यन् सहन्त्रेत सप्तन्तरूपं वस्पन्यन् सहन्तेऽत्र किञ्चन. All the classics of Vedanta proclaim the reality of Kutastha, and they do not admit the existence of any entity other than it.
Yes. So, Sankhya philosophy has what we call Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha means person. The best way to describe it in modern English terms is little lumps of consciousness. So your consciousness is separate from yours, separate from yours, separate from yours, separate from mine. And its problem is that it's all entangled up in matter. So we've got to beat up the nasty matter to get the nice spirit out. God has created these individual little Purushas. That is not the teaching of Vedanta. This comes from various images we get in the Veda scriptures. God is the fire, the individual souls are like the sparks. God is the ocean, we are like the drops. Vedanta says, no. If I go into the bathroom and I see my face in the mirror, has the mirror become my face? And if Daniel comes into the bathroom and stands beside me, has the mirror created two little faces in the mirror? The mirror has undergone no change at all. It is Bimba, the mirror. The images are Prabhibimba. It's just the mirror. But its nature is to have reflections in it. Likewise, consciousness is one without a second. There is no otherness. My favorite mantra from Chandogya, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Sarvamidam, all this Kal is verily Brahman. There's nothing here but God. And the world of name and form is imagined in it. But consciousness undergoes no change at all. Now, taking it out of the realm of philosophy into practice. Two practices are implied here. First, understand that the body, mind, intellect, and any idea of self, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm male, I'm female, I'm old, I'm young, I'm successful, I'm failure, I'm lovable, I'm not lovable, are all superimpositions. They are all adhyasa, superimpositions, they are imagination. Don't believe it. Look in a very quiet mind with the attention turned within. Keep checking out yourself. Nope, still nothing there. Still that vast, empty space of awareness. That's the first thing to do. Second, what is this world? I have to start with this idea that the phenomenal world comes about like a dream. You are the god of your dream. So in the dream state, your one undivided mind refracts into a dream body, a dream ego, and a dream world out there, and dream thoughts and feelings inside. But there's no otherness. You may be dreaming that you're riding a horse through a field. But your dream body, the dream horse, the dream field, and the emotions you feel, Daniel's hair is flying in the wind. All of it, just my mind. Now, all of this is the Lord's dream. But it comes about the same way. How do we cross over Maya? See who you are. And as we turn down the volume level and our reactivity to the world, we let go of attachment and aversion, expectation, control, all the sensory data just pass through, empty out. The world starts to thin out. It no longer is seen to be as concrete, solid, because it's not. Sometimes when the mind gets very, very thin, it's like just a transparency hanging in space. Because its relative reality is held in place by the mind. So this practice is called viveka, discrimination between the real and the unreal. We do it not only who am I, but what is this world? How does it come about? Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this, nothing but consciousness. Dhamma Satyam Jaganitya. Brahman alone is real. Jagat, the world of name and forms. Nitya, illusory. Seen, but not real. Next verse.
Shrutyartham vishadi kurmo natarkad vachmi kinchana enatartika shankana amatrako vasaro vada. These verses show the real meaning of the Shruti and do not consider the matter from a logical point of view. The doubts of the logicians are not considered here.
So you can get caught up in fallacious logic. The various modes of argumentation. I think, isn't the word tarka, isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. And various schools have their own ways of proving things. So if you rely on logic alone, you may not arrive at the truth. Now, this is very interesting because in the West, someone like St. Thomas Aquinas, we are given theological absolutes. And then a theologian does theology, which is to progress logically with the rules of logic. The rules of logic are followed. You should come up with true conclusions. But some of you are computer people. What's the saying they say? Garbage in, garbage out. Is that how they say it?
Yeah.
So if the fundamental absolutes from which you start are incorrect, logic will not give you a true answer. So this is why in the Vedanta tradition, the suggestion is start with the hypotheses that are put forward in the Upanishads. They do not say abandon reason, but they invite us to think, to reason in a particular way, in the way that's suggested by Shruti, by the scripture. Then see what you come to. So, for example, with Osgay, before class, we just did a quick run through of subject-object discrimination. That is based in scripture. For many people, you go through that exercise, you begin to get intimations of the no thingness of the soul. Now, you could do some argument like this. The scriptures say God is omnipotent and omniscient. If I am God, how come I'm not all powerful and all knowing? I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'm certainly not powerful. I couldn't make the bus run on time today. Therefore, I cannot be God. That's fallacious logic. It's based in a wrong understanding of the principles. So we don't cast aside reason, but we reason along a particular way that's suggested, not only by the scriptures, but by the great saints and sages who thunder, it's true, it's true, it's true. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Tasmat kurtakam santyajya mumukshushrutimashrayet shrutau tu maya jiveshu shrutau tu maya jiveshau karotiti pradarshitam. The aspirant for release should give up sophistry, and should base his conviction on the Shruti, which says that Jiva and Ishvara are creations of Maya.
Now, sophistry is faulty logic. And do you know what you call a person who is engaged in sophistry?
philosopher.
Sophisticated.
No, a sophomore. I'm not making this up. That's the meaning of the word. Where a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. You ever gotten in a conversation with somebody in their second year of college they know everything now? That's sophistry. Sophos actually just means knowledge, wisdom. Sophia is actually the word. But faulty reasoning, faulty logic. You know, attorneys are always accused of this. You could logically figure out you can indict a ham sandwich, you know, if you come up with enough logic. But here Vidyaranya is saying, don't get caught up in erroneous modes of logic. Just because they proceed syllogistically, you got to be very careful with what your initial propositions are. And there's a way of following logically that is suggested in the scriptures. But ultimately, Swamiji used to say, blind faith is stupid faith and it will fail you in a crisis. You need to have a faith, first authority, the scriptures. Second authority, the recorded wisdom of the great saints and sages, God, men and women through history. Do thunder, it's true, it's true. Third authority, your own logical reasoning. Let me give you another example. You've heard me do this many times. So I've been in the ashram maybe 3 weeks. It was deep meditation. And then all of a sudden there was this gold white light. And I was just bathed in ecstasy. Oh, I must have realized the self. So I talked to Ram. He was the guy who was heading up these houses. And I said, Ram, I think I realized the self. He says, oh, really? Yes. Went into meditation. I saw gold white light. I was bathed in ecstasy. Oh, really? Well, what were you doing before that? Well, I was just sitting on my bed, my sleeping mat. He asked. And who was aware of that? I was. And when you saw the gold white light and had the ecstasy, who was aware of that? I was. Is it happening now? No. What's happening now? I'm talking to you. Who's aware of the conversation you're having with me now? I am. He said, that's yourself. So he used logic, my own direct experience, based on the teaching of the scripture. The self is omnipresent. The self never changes. The self is not known as an objective experience. It's what's eternal. It is without form, without qualities, without characteristics, always experienced as I, never as something known. We saw the error of my conclusion. So this is the proper use of reason. Any thoughts on this? many of us unconsciously are looking for a high. Self is that which is the witness of heat and cold, pleasure and suffering, honor and dishonor. Notice it doesn't say always warm, always happy, always honorable. Get out. Have no concern for this body, mind states, ideas that rise and fall, come and go. You are the eternal fact. Still established. Next verse.
ईक्षणादिप्रवेशान्ता सृष्टिरीशकृता भवेत् जागृदादिमोक्षान्त samsaro जीवकर्तृका. Ishvara's creation extends from his willingness, Ishvara's creation extends from his willing to create the world to his entrance into his creation. Jiva's creation includes everything from the world of the waking state to his release from ignorance.
So, Vidyaranya is now talking about these two layers of imagination. The first manifestation of Maya, we call Ishvara, or the creator God. Brahma, the creator, masculine noun ending in A. Prajapati, the firstborn. Sometimes Hiranyagarbha is called the golden womb or the golden egg. Ishvara is he who wishes or wills, the creator God. Brahman, the ground of being, is behind even that. But Ishvara is always also considered the total vasana, all of the potentiality of manifestation. Anything that could ever be is there. And then by its inscrutable will, all this comes into being. Listen carefully. The imagination, the manifestation, the Jagat, the creation of Ishvara is inherently neutral. Is the speed of light good or bad? Is it honorable or dishonorable? Is it just or unjust? Yes, it is. Ultimately, all the names and forms just are. You and I have our own imagination. We superimpose value onto Ishvara's world. It was a beautiful sunset. Oh, yesterday it was cloudy. It was ugly. Oh, so and so is going to be president. Oh, doom. Somebody else is now going to run. Oh, that's so great. I like that person. They're so nice to me. I don't like that person. They're mean to me. That's ugly. That's beautiful. This is my superimposition on Ishwara's imagined world. Now, it's a little more complicated than that because to some degree, we participate in the creative process through our projections. So Puneet and Sound are talking about a startup, right? Yeah. So they have an idea. Now, actually, if it comes to pass, it's because Ishvara did it. Where did your idea come from? You can't really find a thing called my mind. But the movie projector of your mind and Sound's mind may be the vehicle for this startup to come into existence. So God doesn't create the world at us and to us, but as us and through us to a large degree. Oh, it's so terrible in Israel. Gaza. Did Ishvara do it? Yeah. But how did Ishvara do it? Through the minds and actions of people. Through the qualities of their heart and their actions. In the greater scheme of things, who's more dead? An 8-year-old blown up by a bomb, or a sage who dies at 110 in the Himalayas? They're both dead. Just part of Ishvara's sankalpa, imagination. No form lasts. Everything is into existence, sustains, goes out of existence. Or as my dear mother used to say, you gotta die of something. So we have this double projection here. Ishvara's world of name and form, imagined, but inherently neutral. Then I, as it were, participate in the creative process. Not only by being the vehicle for bringing things into being, not saying that human beings made Andromeda Galaxy. We made a whole lot of stuff. And even more importantly, the value judgments I superimpose. That's all my crazy mind. And what the person in steady wisdom does, the Jivan Mukta, crosses beyond both projections. Meaning, I see not only that my mind's opinions are completely unreal, can't think of real thought, but this world of name and form is not solid. It's just vibration held together by thought. What's really here is consciousness alone. And what we call the jiva, this individuality, which he refines and calls chidabhasa in this, the reflection of consciousness. Listen carefully. That's one of Ishvara's creations. You didn't make yourself up. You're an idea in the mind of God. And as we meditate on that idea, great depth, I will tell you who you are as a form in God's universe. You are what appears to be an individual moving toward the rediscovery of your essential nature. The scriptures say the dharma of a human being is God consciousness. That's where we're all going. All right, next verse.
Asangam eva kutastha sarvadanasya kaschana bhavatyatishayastena manasyevam vicharyatam. Kutastha is ever associationless. It does not change. Thus, one should always meditate and reflect.
Yes. Asangam. Sangam means join. Asangam means unattached. Associationless. The self in me is the unattached witness of everything. In the beginning, we invite people to take on a practice called Sakshi Bhava. Means take on the attitude of the witness. Watch your feelings, watch your thoughts. Don't get involved in them. Just watch them rise and fall. Just let them go by. Well, the truth is, you can't become the witness. You already are the witness. But in your mind, you haven't noticed it. Where are my glasses? You see my glasses? I've looked all over the house. Where are my glasses? I don't have my glasses. What am I going to do? Oh, well, there they are. I had them all along. In the beginning, I do not know. Asangoham, that I am unattached. So I begin to notice I'm ever the witness of all the feelings, all the thoughts, all the sense perceptions. And that I never change. The movie changes. Don't believe me. Look. This gives the aspirant freedom from fear, freedom from the need to protect, secure, defend self. This is the abandonment of the little self. See it for what it is. You can cut its head off. There's that great verse of Shankara, Asangoham, 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 Puna, Puna, Sachidananda Rupaham, Aham Evaham, Bhavyaya, unattached, unattached, unattached am I again and again. I am of the form of pure existence, pure awareness, this absolute. I am that. Beautiful. Don't believe me? Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even a little of this knowledge frees us from great fear. If I just start watching my mind, trying to let go of attachment and identification, see if I can get some sense of practicing, identifying as the witness, not my stupid ass mind states. Long before realization dawns on the mind, even a little of this practice will begin to bring you great freedom. Promise you this. All right, next verse.
न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बधो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर् न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता. For Kutastha, there is no death and no birth, none in bondage and none engaged in working out release.
Yeah.
No sadhaka, no aspirant for release, and none liberated. That is the supreme truth.
Yes. So another way to look at this, do you incarnate into a dream? You in the dream, or is the dream in you? So this experience, no one says we don't experience it, that I'm deep in bondage, deeply in the world of suffering. I think I'm bound. That is like a dream. Certainly an experience, but not real. When I evolve, as it were, to this estate where I become a mumukshu, a seeker after liberation. Oh, I want it so bad. Very important, because it becomes the engine of our spiritual practice. That too is in the dream of this world. And for those rare souls who are Jiva Mukta, I am that witness of consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahma. It is the subtle intellect that has that realization. None of that touches the self. The self does not get realized. It's the mind. It is the Chid Abhasa. The mind sees its own unreality. It sees that no personal sense of self is real. And we have to be very careful. Beginners see a verse like this in the scripture and many scriptures have verses like it. You could get caught up in what I call the Vedanta logic loop, which is bondage isn't real. Self-realization isn't real. Sadhana isn't real. Why are you doing all these stupid spiritual things? Go have a drink. You might even try shooting heroin. Make you feel better. Doesn't matter. It's all unreal. Doesn't matter if you cheat. It's unreal. You don't have to tell the truth. It's not real anyway. And what we end up doing is justifying and rationalizing our suffering. That is not the teaching of Vedanta. Both bondage and liberation occur to the mind, but listen carefully. What is it that's suffering? My mind. Is it real from that standpoint of the absolute? No. How do I get out of my suffering when this ignorant mind has the realization? Person, I'm unhappy not because I don't have what I want, because I'm addicted to wanting. I'm trying to secure a personal senses. And the mind can see all of that is what's causing my suffering. And it lets it go. And we find some peace. The standpoint of the absolute is the peace unreal. Yeah. It doesn't mean from the standpoint of the mind that it's not valuable. Any thoughts on this? It's a very important point. All right, next verse. What number are we on now?
71.
I think we have what, 84 in this chapter, something like that?
Not even 76.
76, okay. I think we can finish.
Avang manasagam yam tam shrutir bodhayitum sada jivamesham jagadvapi samashritya prabodhayet. The Shruti tries to indicate the reality which is beyond the body and the mind by using the conceptions of Jiva, Ishvara, and Jagat.
So even though they are unreal, the scriptures use these constructs, these ideas, to try to help us get out of the mind. Osho used to tell a story that there's a person inside of a big house, and it's all dark and the windows are shut. And a friend comes and says, why don't you come outside? It's nice and sunny. Well, there's no sun out there. I'm just going to stay inside the house. Go away. So his friend thinks for a minute and goes, I know what to do. Comes running into the house, yelling, get out quickly! Fire! The house is on fire! Come! He grabs the person and jerks him outside. The fellow looks back. There was no fire. Oh, It's so beautiful and sunny here. So, yes, the constructs of Scripture are really true in the end, from the viewpoint of the absolute. Other traditions will have other models. I'm sure your Sufi tradition might explain some of these ideas a little bit differently. What about all the efforts to attain liberation? They are of value. But once realization dawns on the mind, we see the guru isn't real, disciple isn't real, the bondage isn't real, liberation isn't real, scripture isn't real. Oh, I is very real. We've learned to let everything go. Revel. We have another unreal experience called Brahmananda. This unreal mind gets to taste the juice of the bliss of the sound. Paradox. Next verse.
यया 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 भवेत् पुंसां व्युत्पत्तिः प्रत्यगात्मनि सा सैव प्रक्रियेह स्यात् साध्वित्याचार्यभाषितम्. Acharya Sureshwara has said that whatever method helps one to understand clearly the indwelling Atman is approved by the Vedantic classics.
Yes. So, well, I don't want to read such and such a text. It's dualistic. Well, what about, Buddhist texts? Oh, they think they're a zero. All those Muslims, they're praying to a God out there. There's no God out there. This is nonsense. There are many paths up the mountain of truth. They seem to differ. But I will say there's a temple on the top of the mountain. And it only has one door. Find out who I is. Everything becomes clear. So the Vedanta never argues with other schools of thought. You can go into the church or the temple or the mosque, pray right along with the other people, and feel it even with the deep understanding. Sorrowful, colorful, Dhamma, all this is verily Brahman. It doesn't matter. I adore the formless one. With form, no form, who cares? This song, that song, no song. Whatever gets you there. Next verse.
श्रुतितात्पर्यमखिलं बुद्धाभ्राम्यते जडः विवेकी त्वखिलं बुद्ध्या तिष्ठत्यानन्दवारिधौ. The dull-witted, ignorant of the real meaning of the Shruti, wanders here and there, whereas the wise, understanding its purport, ever abides. Purport? Purport.
Purport. Purport.
Purport.
Yes.
Purport. Ever abides in the ocean of bliss.
So there's a wonderful story. I can't remember if it's from Tripura Rahasyam or from Yoga Vasishta. King Janaka is having a conclave. All these learned Brahmins, and they're getting together and they're arguing back and forth. Having, I call it spiritual data wars. In the back, there's a woman dressed in simple rags with long matted hair. She is no arguments. Basically, Jessica says, none of you guys know what the heck you're talking about. But she knows. How is it both knowable and unknowable? That's the doubt she resolves. If you want to know the answer to that riddle, you have to come back. Next verse.
Maya meghau jaganneeram parshatyesha yatha tatha chidakashasya no hanihi navalabha iti sthiti. Like a cloud which pours out streams of rain, Maya creates the world, the Jagat. As the ether is not affected by the rain, so pure consciousness that I am suffers neither gain nor loss from anything in the phenomenon world. That is the conviction of the wise.
So I would not translate Akash as ether. I would translate it as space or even sky. So the space, the sky is not affected by the cloud that's bringing forth the rain. It is there. So also the stupid mind can have a good day or a bad day. Can react to this or not react to that. Be quiet, empty, and softly pure. Or can be triggered and identified. But remember, none of it touches I. Next verse.
Imam kutasthadeepam ya anusandhena anusandhatte nirantaram swayam kutastharupena deepyate sau nirantaram. He who always reflects on this lamp of Kutastha ever abides as a self-revealing Kutastha.
So this chapter titled The Lamp of Kutastha. You go back, reread it, reflect on it, imbibe the truth that it says. It's one chapter. It's a means of knowledge. It's a good one. It's at the end of this chapter. Okay, perfect timing. It's 9 o'clock. We'll end here and we start the 9th chapter next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha. Hari